Hello everybody, I'm Deacon Sarah Wickett and I'm really pleased today that I have Mike Lees here, who is from High Street, who's going to share some stuff that goes on at High Street. Now Mike, I'm new to the area, but there's one thing that people keep talking to me about Christmas time, and they talk very enthusiastically about the journey, which I know has happened at High Street. So please, could you share some more about the journey, especially for somebody like me who's new and other people around the circuit who probably never experienced it?
Yeah, sure. It actually began about 7 years ago when we were talking about what we could do as a church in relation to the Harpenden Christmas Carnival, which is when they light up the Christmas lights in the streets of Harpenden. They have quite a festival in the town, and there are thousands of people walking up and down the streets. We have always opened the church on that day, and we've always, for many, many years, had activities for children and served mince pies and things like that. But we wanted to do something a little bit more than that. And we talked around a number of ideas and came up with the concept of what I'll call an immersive Christmas journey. The idea being that small groups of people are taken on a journey around the church, but actually a journey to Bethlehem. And on the way, they'll encounter various elements of the Christmas story. And that's where it all began. We then planned what that route would look like and what each of the elements of the story would be that we would tell and how we would tell those elements of the story. And the original plan was that we would gather groups of up to about 20 people in the church car park, and then that group would set off on the journey. And as they walked around, each scene would be enacted, so that we expected to enact the scenes a few times during the course of the afternoon. The first year we did it, it worked quite well. We had groups, I would say, of 20 to 30 at once. It was a little bit bigger than we expected, and lots of them. And I think something like about 300 people went around the journey that year, and we thought it was a great success. So we decided to do it the following year. And from there, it carried on year by year, growing and growing, and it became a victim of its own success eventually. We had groups of 70 people trying to cram into one tiny room to watch one of the scenes being enacted, and people just couldn't get in through the door. So we've had to make a few changes over the years where we've made some of the spaces bigger. We found ways of enlarging the spaces so that we could get more people through. And we've just generally tried to ensure that the groups that go around aren't too big. It's quite a mammoth task actually putting the whole thing together. Each scene has to be prepared with a lot of scenery around it to actually create the impression of being a particular location. And that takes quite a lot of doing. And then on the day, it takes about 40 people to actually enact all the scenes, act as guides to take people around, make the refreshments that we serve as people are arriving, and so on. So it is a huge enterprise, but one that we felt was really worthwhile. And we did that for 5 years. And then last year, we decided to take a rest for a year, partly because we were all quite exhausted from doing it 5 years, and it was becoming increasingly difficult. And we thought, well, maybe give it a rest and then come back next year, maybe with something a little bit different, or maybe with the same thing. And of course, the next year turned out to be this year,
Mhm.
so we can't do it again.